Anyway, we got my buddy Peter Feliciano, conservative influencer, conservative, meme extraordinaire. Hold up, get some water back. All right.
This orange is right in my fucking face.
The orange is in your face. So, how are you liking Austin? You're from New York, right?
Yeah. Originally New York, spent a long time in Cali, and then moved back to New York right before the pandemic. And then been in Austin since July of 22, and I love it. Yeah, I really, really like it.
Why would you stay in New York during COVID?
Well, see, I had moved out there literally to do music, and then signed my lease 2 days later. The city got shut down, lost my job. We were all going to die. Blah, 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 blah. So I waited for New York to pull its head out of its ass, and
well, they never really did.
They never did. Yeah. So I gave it the junior college try, but it's not New York anymore, and so I got the fuck out of there.
What is it?
San Francisco 2.0.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
It's the same disease that killed both. I always say it, chuck it up to white liberals. But what it is it's fear. And here's what I mean. So in San Francisco, I watched the same thing. The tech people, money goes up, quality of life goes down. And it doesn't matter how bad the quality of life goes down, there's always a tech nerd who's willing to pay the price that the landlords need. So it's up. The prices get worse, the quality of life goes down, the services get shit, and no one gives a fuck. The gap between the high class elitists and the homeless just grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, and people also take comfort voting for these policies because there is a certain high that comes with feeling like you're elite. And when the gap grows wider and you're one of the haves, despite the virtue signaling rhetoric you may post on social media, you get addicted to that feeling and you want to keep it going, and these policies perpetuate that.
Yes, but I always get to try to get into the psychology of the motive, right? Because I can cuss on this, right?
You can say whatever you like, yeah. Nobody listens to this.
Well, I should too.
Yeah.
What's the psychology behind that? It's delicious to bully people. It's delicious to bully people under the guise of a virtue, right? It's fun to get that fill up. But why would someone need the fill up? Because they feel insecure.
Yeah.
That's why they grasp for the elitists. That's why they grasp for the security.
Because you've never actually really accomplished anything that requires genuine, really hard work, or felt as though you were part of a team reaching for a common, usually athletic goal.
Yes.
And so, it's an easy way to compensate for that, and in this way, you get to perpetuate this gap that gives you status while also feeling like you are a good person, and then you get to be validated as a good human being by the people within your circle, even though you are not, because you've done absolutely nothing to help anybody.
Which is part of the reason why any challenge to that becomes, I can't even have this conversation. I can't believe that anyone would say. The pearl clutching is not it's not stupidity. It's not they hate America. That's so intellectually lazy of our side, whatever you want to call our side. Here's what it is. I'm so used to, in Austin, part of the thing I love about Austin, as much as people want to call it, it's blue hair, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro,
it's not really
compared to where it's not
that bad.
If I had to poke anything at it, it's libertarian central. It's like, leave us the fuck alone. And here's what it is. Guns are the main fulcrum, right? The fact that Austin's surrounded by genuine ass Texans, they can't dehumanize the other side as easily as they can in New York or in San Francisco. Because in New York or San Francisco, they don't know anybody who disagrees with them politically.
That's true. And we have a lot of communists and socialists that do this job, believe it or not. But they're all cool. Most of them. There's some that are just that are their heads are way up their ass. This is garbage, right? But a lot of them don't really even do that well or make that much money. Their lives kind of are not the best, right? Not talking shit about anybody, right?
Sure.
Or saying names or anything like that. But there are a lot of people who I did this job with that are full blown communists, right? Full blown they would have fought with Fidel Castro in the 1960s if they were in Cuba. They're full blown people
because they hate gays. No.
No. but what I'm trying to say is though, like you have a lot of people like that who we pedicab with that are like really cool with the fact that my beliefs are totally opposite to them, and I'm very upfront about those beliefs. And I have my rap songs making fun of Joe Biden and talking about Donald Trump and talking about how Hillary Clinton eats babies and openly becoming like Alex Jones Jr. on a tricycle. And most of the people who are like avowed communists that I do this job with find it funny versus finding it threatening.
Right.
And I think a big reason for that is that a lot of these communists grew up in rural Texas.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And like their uncles and cousins all worked in like an oil rig, and they just happened to be the people that didn't fit in, but they understand that these are still human beings, and so you know the disagreements become disagreements instead of dehumanization.
Right. I genuinely believe, as hard as it can be at times, that most of the people, when you get them offline and you get them by themselves, like most people are kind of reasonable. Like you get them away from what other people, like their peer group all wants to believe. You get them away from, right? And like those Marxists have good experiences. Like they know that the intentions behind the oil rig uncle is actually like he's a good dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I know Marxists who have good intentions. I fucking wildly disagree with them, but I know that they're doing their best.
Well, yes,
So
I mean, but the problem though is that seeing these intentions through are going to kill a bunch of people.
Right.
So that's where the problem lies.
And that's what's so great about Marxists. And this is something interesting we can talk about. That's
like,
what's so great
you're
about
cool,
Marxists.
but you just should not be anywhere near a position of meaningful power.
Right.
But as long as you're not in a position of meaningful power, nobody should bother you or persecute you or be mean to you.
And that's
you
what's
just
so
like
great.
the only reason I even am at a point where I'm kind of bullying these people is because they just have a little bit too much power and too much control over how society's running. Once they lose that control, which is already happening, we can go back to being friends now.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of how I feel.
Right. I also want to delineate between someone who is a genuine Marxist, like actual genuine Marxists don't usually get anywhere near upward mobility to the point of being in an actual position of power. Okay, this is something intellectually lazy on the anti-government, anti-state, conservative, whatever, you anarchist, libertarian, whatever you decide you want to call this big umbrella of anti-fucking lizard. What's intellectually lazy? Yeah, it's fun to poke fun at Marxists and throw stones. Klaus Schwab is not a fucking Marxist. That motherfucker don't have actual identity. He doesn't believe in anything. He just wants power. He's using Marxism. Soros is using the little white kids who are fighting for Palestine. He's using Biden isn't a fucking Marxist. Like they're people. They don't have an ideology behind them. They're serving themselves. That's what they say. Satanic oligarch 101. Oh, make believe you believe something, so that the people who believe those things will give you money and power. Like when I made that fucking tweet a few months ago. Napoleon, when he was taking over Egypt, he converted to Muslim. He didn't give a fuck. As soon as he was outside of Egypt, he's like, Muslim what? Like, he didn't believe in a fucking God. He just believed in himself. He wanted more of the power. You know what I mean?
Dude, that makes so much sense. And I've never really seen it explained quite like that.
I'm incredible.
You are. That is... That blew my mind a little bit. Like, that is really well said. And I think a lot more people who are who voted for Bernie Sanders in 2020 that would continue doing so if he were the nominee again probably need to hear that little speech, because it is it's eye-opening the way you placed it.
Thank you, sir.
And a lot of conservatives fall into the trap too by calling Biden a leftist and a Marxist. And I'm like, you know what you're doing? All you're doing by calling him these names is you are getting actual Marxists to go and vote for Joe Biden.
Yep.
And that is actually hurting your cause by calling people radical leftists when they are not radical leftists.
That's why it's like, pointing out hypocrisy about Joe Biden saying in 2007, 2008, there were many clips. One of them was like, I believe that a marriage should be between a man and a woman. He also said that abortion, there should be limits on abortion. It's like, whoa, he changed his mind. Yes, he changed his voice. He changed what he's saying because he knows that the majority of his power base, of his voter base, will only give him power if he tap dances the right way. This is why federal fucking government needs to fucking end. This is part of the reason, is because it doesn't matter who we put up there, even if they have good intentions. I believe Trump had good intentions. Well, but I'm saying even the best of intentions, there's no fucking way that somebody in New York should have the same, should have any sway over what I do in Austin, and vice versa. If New York wants to be fucking crazy and Marxist, go for it.
Well, to be fair though, the way that we live in Austin is way different than the way somebody lives in New York. So they actually don't have very much of a say over how our life goes in Austin, which is a testament to how great this country is.
Yes.
Despite how bad everything has gotten these past 4 years, life for me has not really changed. Well, actually, it has changed, but it's gotten better, right? Life for me has not really gotten worse in the past 4 years.
Right. I mean, and on
as it stands right now, life has not gotten worse for me. It's gotten better. Just mentally, you're a lot more in tune with way more prevailing threats that are happening.
Yes.
And so you may feel that it's gotten worse, but in actuality, life has actually improved. There is a segment of the population, and it's not just the very rich, who life has actually improved tremendously for these past 3 years. The only problem is it's very clear that you have a group of elites that go to Davos that are actively trying to take every single freedom that comes with living in America for granted, that they're trying to destroy it. And they're using a multitude of crises and online psyops to do that. And then when you become aware of it, it's harder to enjoy the fact that your life has improved because you're always worried about whether or not these globalists will succeed.
Right. And that's why I keep pointing my followers and fans to the idea of self-care. Because in the libertarian conservative game, especially conservative, you don't hear about fucking meditation. Like, even if you believe, like, a Christian conservative, like, these motherfuckers a lot of them don't trust God with their politics. It's like, oh yeah, God's got it. Jesus, take the wheel. But not that one. That's the one I really gotta worry. He's like, no, how about prayer? I mean, work like a son of a bitch. We're all working, you and me and all these people, in the culture game, in the voting, in the, going in, whatever you want to do. But ultimately, either you have some sort of higher power, you believe in God, universe, whatever the fuck, has got it, or you don't. You know what I'm saying? And so I keep pointing my motherfuckers to be like, okay, yes, let's differentiate between the symptom and the disease. Like you said, Marxists or whatever, the far right, far left are the exact same motherfucker. There's a reason why fear is the driving. Fear is the driving. It's the same fear that makes you,
listen,
racism.
The pro-Trump bots and the and the communists,
followers.
Well, no, there's a lot of bot accounts that are just not real, or AstroTurf, right, or like troll accounts. Like these pro-Trump, pro-Trump accounts, right? We're not talking about somebody who likes Trump, right? We're talking about like the artificially inflated pro-Trump accounts. Okay, they communicate the exact same way as like the radical BLM accounts did 3 years ago, or the hardcore vaccine advocates did 3 years ago. They communicate the exact same way, and so like you have to, look at this objectively and wonder: is this political sentiment being astroturfed? And they tried to do it with left-wing ideology, and now that the tide has shifted, you don't think that maybe they're going to just use now right-wing ideology to just continue manufacturing consent for what they want to do? So it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, people are saying, oh my God, we're so back. Millet owned the World Economic Forum at the speech. Trump is dominating the polls. And there's all this Trump stuff on Twitter, right? But then when you look at some of who these followers are, it's like, wait, you've tweeted 30,000 times in the past year and a half. Like, is that a real... Are you a real person? What are you manipulating us into doing now? Like, if 2020, if the 2020 narrative was astroturfed, why is the 2024 narrative genuine?
Which is why I made a video the other day. I was like, listen, guys, I'll be against the gulags even if Christians are in charge. Like, I'll be against speech law even if the conservatives are the one who are enforcing it.
But that's the point, though, right? Like, the conservative Christians who talk about how they're being persecuted,
right?
They're not being persecuted. I don't see.
Well, South Africa, but
Okay, and we're talking about in the United States.
In the United
States, like there's no persecution of Christian conservatives, and you know what? There's also no persecution of Jews, and there's no persecution of Muslims, and there's no real persecution of anybody with the religious foundation because we live in the United States.
Right.
What's happening is that school boards are, through top-down modeling, they are perpetuating what is basically a satanic ideology that's being transmitted onto children so that future generations can disregard whatever principles of freedom and liberty that we still have in America, so that next time there is a virus or next time there is an emergency,
they'll still reach for daddy government. Well,
you're not going to have rights after it is over. And with COVID, we still have rights now that this is over. And then the more you do, the more wokeness that gets perpetuated in the schools, and the more you do drag queen story time, the more you confuse children the way in which you're doing it, the more you continue failing to teach kids like essential life skills to be functioning, self-sustaining adults. The more likely you are to create a generation of people who just do not believe in what America stands for, and so they will gladly relinquish whatever rights they were born with next time there's a crisis.
100%. But to go back to the point that I was making, that's why I can continuously point to self-care, because regardless of how the ideology is, the animus behind it is the same. And so to keep ourselves from getting duped like the BLM kids got back in 2020 requires meditation, taking care of our relationships,
eating real food, working out,
you filter that fucking water.
Don't cheat on your wife.
Ta-da.
You have to have a good personal foundation. And a lot of these conservative Inc., a lot of these grifters at the top of conservative Inc. are not following these principles, and they're taking us. They are taking us into a buzzsaw. They are walking us right into a buzzsaw, and it feels really frustrating that I'm like the only one who notices it and is speaking out against it.
James Lindsay.
Even James Lindsay said that too, but and he's a little more known than I am. But very few of us are speaking out against the fact that we are walking right into a buzzsaw, and we were being led there by these charlatans who we thought we could look to them for guidance, and they are actually guiding us. They're the ones that are going to guide us into a gulag.
Right. And that's why part of the reason I named my show Conservatish, and also because that's why I keep pointing to when we're doing the self-sufficiency thing, when we're taking care of ourselves, yes, we're less susceptible to the psyop, but we're also more self-questioning, meaning not self-questioning, ideology questioning, right? We're more like, oh, you know what? I have a friend as an example up in Canada. He got rid of his social media a year ago, and he's doing fine. And I'm like, even in Canada, like the insanity doesn't really touch his life, like you're saying. Like, if I'm building my own networks of food, of water, of community, of this and the trade, blah, 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 the cunts in fucking Washington, D.C. can tap dance all they fucking want. You know what I mean? Like the dum-dums, like, what money do I need to pay you if my taxes, if I'm not making money on your fucking dime? You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, this is true. Yeah.
The problem, though, is that if you ever go into a store to buy food and it's laced with mRNA vaccines without you knowing it, that's
an extension of the same.
Yeah, that's where the problem lies. Or if they could start arresting and imprisoning you for visiting websites that they consider to be disinformation, and all of a sudden now you can't learn. And all of a sudden now you can't learn and get a better understanding of the world around you to actually optimize how your life should be in a way that doesn't hurt people, then that actually does become a problem that everybody should get involved in. And I think that
no. Well, let me clarify, because sometimes, and I'm not saying this is what you're getting from what I'm saying, but sometimes I've seen a few people answer me back on when I take that tack, that I'm saying there's nothing we need to do. Let's just divest and move laterally. I'm saying let's do both. I'm saying, I mean, of all fucking people, I'm out here fighting the culture war like a motherfucker. I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to do everything we can to make this world stay better, get better, save as many motherfuckers as we can, fill in the blank. But I am saying in the interim, I'm going to do everything I can to make aspects of my life not dependent upon the systems.
Oh, and I'm in that boat too. And I look at it and that's good. I think more people need to be like that, right?
Yeah.
And I want to be in that boat as well. I'm very lucky that I have a job that I'm happy with, that no matter what happens, I'm perfectly happy to drive a tricycle until I'm 70.
Right.
Like, I genuinely enjoy being a man on this tricycle, no matter what happens, right? Like, I can wind up on Tucker Carlson, I can wind up on Rogan, you know, I've been on Alex Stein's show a couple of times, right? Like, I could have articles in mainstream news publications written about me.
Right.
I could even have $1 million, you know, in the bank. I'm still going to want to do this, right? I mean, if I have $1 million, I'm not going to give pedicab rights because I'm going to be taking away from other people that need the money.
Sure.
But I'll buy pedicabs and allow other people to like experience the same joy that I experienced from this. Like, I'll still want to be involved in this type of community.
I remember where I met you, by the way. INC.
Oh, yeah, Kevin.
Like,
all right.
Yeah, with Kevin, I was like, oh, that's what it literally just hit me. I was like, oh yeah, I have met you before.
Okay.
You had like pizza pants on or something? Like you had some sort of crazy shirt.
I had a trans-vaccinated t-shirt on that.
Yeah.
Because it's about inclusion, you know, and I identify as someone who said 3 shots and 5 boosters, even though
Beautiful.
I have had 0, because love is love and we should tolerate everybody. And then,
Right.
you know, we have to fight the transphobia, and this is what I identified as. And so next time there's a mandate, I'm wearing that shirt. And, you know, if you don't let me into your restaurant, you are a bigot.
Right.
You are a literal bigot, and then you need to go away. But it's funny, though, dude, because I've gone into gay bars wearing that shirt, right?
Mm.
And, like, the gay guys will ask me what that means, and I'll tell them the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them love it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them think it's hilarious. They love it because you're not, like, being mean to them. You're not, like, you're not dissing, like, people who are different than you. You're just saying, like, hey, this is about inclusion, and I identify as someone who said 3 shots and 5 boosters, and, like, no one should force you to, you know, and nobody should judge you for what you put in your body, and most importantly, what you refuse to put in your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all agree on that. Let's go. You know, love is love. This is inclusion. Love me for my medical choices too. Just like I love you for your medical choices, love me for my medical choices. That goes a longer way than attacking people for being different.
Right. You know,
Mine
is Dan Berman.
I don't know who that is.
He's the taxationist theft. Like
Okay.
he
I mean,
ran for president.
mine is, you know, if you want to give puberty blockers to kids or have sprinkles of drag queen read at the elementary school, you know, yeah, but aside from that, like, you should not attack people because they are different than you.
And there is a difference between someone who, like I've kind of said, like if a parent wants their kid to be read to by a drag queen, do I disagree with that? Yes. Should it be anywhere near public school? Suck my dick. Fuck. But if there's not actual like dicks out, if there's not sexuality, like I disagree with it, but I do think hear me out. There is an small element of libertarianism when it comes to that.
I don't know. Well, maybe, but okay, hold on.
Go.
So, what if a kid wants to go on an app where grown adults are trying
Well,
to?
there's a difference. No, but that. Exactly.
But like,
I'm
is that
not
okay?
saying
Is that okay? But if the parent's okay with that, is that okay? Like, you know, is that right?
No,
Like,
no, because there should be laws against to protect a kid when it comes to being put in danger. I'm not saying.
well, I don't know, man. When you have drag queens like reading storybooks to like 7-year-old kids in elementary school, and then all of a sudden the kid now starts questioning his or her identity as a result of that and wants to start transitioning because you put them in an environment that they didn't need to be put in, you kind of are endangering the kid.
Touche. I'm only trying to use it as a thought experiment in this way because same thing we were just talking about. I don't want Christian gulags. I don't want the state involved in motherfuckers' lives. Period.
My view is this: you should accept people for who they are. And even when you're in school, right, and you see somebody who's like happens to be a drag queen or happens to like, you know, be a guy that's a girl or whatever the fuck they want to be, right? You're just like, hey, listen, man, that's their preference. A very small minority of people are like that. It's okay to be different. This isn't normal, but it's okay to be abnormal, but it's not. You shouldn't bully somebody because they're different. But this is not. Most people aren't like that, and that's all. That's what it is. And that's what it is. Don't be mean first, and don't be mean. Don't be mean to people because they are struggling or because they are going through something that you don't understand. That's it. And then you end the lesson and you teach them math. That's how I look at it. That's really my views of it.
Yeah,
but you're a bigot if you say it like that. You know, it's just kind of crazy. It's like,
But we should also stop focusing so much on the culture war as well. That's an element. It's kind of both things. Meaning this. We were just talking about the nefarious cunts, the lizards, right? it's real easy for them to, when I see conservatives online, like, look at this trans influencer who has 40 fucking followers who said some shitty opinion.
Cool. Now you gave them 40,000. Now you gave them 40,000 followers, you dick.
Even worse, you spent an hour, the state of the world, while the feds are buying up, while Bill Gates is buying up fucking farmland, while the World Health Organization is going to sign a treaty to give them authority to tell your fucking country / state what to do, right? Like, I'm not saying you can't do both.
Peter.
But let's focus on like actual problems.
And then these conservative influencers spent their time relentlessly bullying the only governor who passed legislation to sign stuff into law to forbid the state of Florida from ever abiding by the WHO pandemic treaty. And then Conservative Inc. literally spent their time bullying and flaming the only guy who actually signed legislation to get the state of Florida out of the WHO pandemic treaty.
Valid.
You know, and that's what I noticed. And then Jamie Dimon is talking at Davos about, he goes on a whole tirade shitting on Bitcoin, right? Talking about how it shouldn't exist and this and that, right? Okay? And then although in this tirade he didn't say that, he just said it's garbage and he kind of changed his tune a little bit, right? Okay. But then a little bit afterwards or before, he talks about how he starts praising like the MAGA move, like he starts kind of like low-key praising like Donald Trump a little bit.
That. Yeah, I saw the clip.
What did Conservative Inc. choose to focus on? They didn't choose to focus on the fact that he doesn't want you to have custody of your money. No, they focused on the fact that he said some base comment saying something vaguely nice about Donald Trump.
Can I throw out in the same vein though? We're getting, it's inevitably going to get better. Even if we go into 40 years of fucking into the goddamn desert, right? It's inevitably and inexorably going to get better.
Well, it's gonna be better for me. I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm happy with how my life is.
And this is the other thing. I'm at peace with myself. We were talking about putting a target on our back in a way. And I know how to dance around and do it funny and blah, 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 blah. They're already shadow banning the shit out of me. But when the rubber meets the road, whenever that fucking happens, I know I'm at peace with myself. I know some cunt who's fucking filling the warrant in New York when they came in. No, you gotta put up the sign that says we're gonna check vaxes at the Laugh comic strip and at a few other businesses who weren't enforcing it.
Yeah.
The cops who's coming and enforcing those fucking vax mandates, do you think they're a fucking happy motherfucker? They hated that job. Some cunt ATF piece of shit who's gonna kick down your door and kill somebody's dog, you think he's a happy motherfucker? You think he's got a good eternity ahead of him? Stop, bro. Right? So I know where the rubber meets the road. What I'm saying is that I know I'm okay with myself and my God. So it doesn't matter what they do to me. I still win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, though, if you want to still be at peace with God and have a good eternity, you have to keep fighting.
Yes.
You can't stop. You can't just say, "Oh, well, it'll be fine because I have God." I'm like, well, yes, but you also got to you have to still keep this fight going. But then also, when it's over and you rest, you actually do get to rest in peace.
For sure.
Because you're like, "Oh, I did everything I needed. I did my best.
Yes.
Good. I'm resting."
Yes.
But if you give up, you can't give up. You can't give up. I've lately been feeling like wanting to give up lately, though.
Yeah.
Because of how this primary is, and because you see you're seeing somebody like Trump, right? Like, I don't even want to talk about this guy anymore, right?
Okay.
I don't hate him, okay? I don't hate him. I'm not like gonna go on this rant, but like, you see this entire conservative apparatus relentlessly going after the most conservative leader in American history, a once in a generational president whose leadership and guidance could actually reverse the path that we have been on for a very long time and do it in a way that continues long after he stops being a leader, right? And if conservative media is going to attack a guy like that this much, right, through Twitter, through not inviting him on shows as much, through being too scared to express how they really feel, and then they're going to perpetuate a bunch of outrage porn, it makes you think that they don't actually want to put America first, and what they actually want to do is continue losing so that they can make money off the grift that is outrage culture. And when you see that, you're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to like put my health, I don't know if I want to put my health and safety on the line and my social standing and my financial well-being on the line, right, and risk any of that to for a movement that doesn't even want to do what it claims. That's some kind of crazy, right?
Right. Well, maybe that's the thing, is that let's not, like we were talking about, no more leaders, no more masters, no more heroes. We can choose leaders, but then take them, and we can go on a lovely rant about Trump. But I think the lesson is no one is 100%, and we need to divest from the idea, break down the structures of it. Would DeSantis have been a better bet? Sure, whatever, that's fine. But I'm saying the big giant lesson is whoever the fuck it is doesn't matter, because we need to just stand up. And remember that analogy of the rich people playing on a board game and it's on our backs, and if we just stood up. In a way, just to not be a part of the system.
Well, that's why DeSantis is a better choice too, because it doesn't inspire hero worship.
Touche. That's a valid point. Yeah, you can't really put somebody up on a pedestal when they're wearing heels.
He does not inspire hero worship. He's just really good at governing.
Yeah.
He's just really good at, like, he would actually be a really good vice president for Trump, I think. Like, I would actually consider voting for Trump again and, like, making amends and just, going back to making content and providing value to this movement.
Right.
If he picked DeSantis to be VP.
Right.
I'd be like, all right, let's go. Let's take the country back. We're ready. Let's get it.
The thing I like
but if he's not going to do that, and he's not going to put anybody that I feel like I relate to, and then these people are just going to gaslight me, and just influence post and influence peddle.
Right.
I would rather devote my energy giving pedicab rides and spending time with my girlfriend and going to the gym and fishing and traveling versus feeding a machine that doesn't care about me. It's the same. Like, it's no different than working in corporate America at this point.
Right. I mean, but isn't that the big lesson? Like, I'm not saying that I can't fight the culture war or whatever. But as soon as whoever the fuck gets in and starts to be whatever, I'm gonna keep pointing my death ray at them too. You know what I mean? Whether it be Trump, DeSantis, whoever.
Even if you like them, you should point it at them more, because now there's more responsibility for them to actually do what you put, because you put yourself out there to get them in. Now there's even more pressure. Right. So that's how I look at it.
Because, whether it be Trump in there, I tweeted that a few weeks ago. It's like, soon to come. Gee golly, conservatives, we really did let too many illegals into the country. Shucks, I wish we could do something about this. Oh, you know what would be really helpful? Is some sort of, digital ID or something. It's like, so I don't give a fuck who's...
Well, that's what they call it, E-Verify. And I'm like, wait, why are you... What?
E-Verify?
Yeah, they call it E-Verify, yeah.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of what... That's problem, reaction, solution. That's what it is. Problem, reaction, solution. It's so obvious. It's like,
but
it's
power wants power. And so... It's easy to start identity politics first, and so I try to do everything I can, including using identity politics to kill identity politics. But I think it's still going to get better. Even if Trump wins and he's a cunt and we just got duped again, okay, so it gets put off for a couple more years. Like the utopia is something that we shouldn't put stock.
Yeah, but here's the other problem too, and it's that you have a group of unelected globalists who go to Davos that use crisis after crisis to perpetuate their New World Order.
100%.
Okay? We just killed the campaign of the only candidate who has a proven track record of effectively managing disasters. Okay? All right? Say what you want about Ron DeSantis' heels and his mannerisms and the fact that he might be on the spectrum and the fact that he has the personality of a cardboard box, right? Say all that. That's fine. I don't care. He is really good at managing disasters. And you need somebody like that in office right now in order to avoid the next crisis that will lead to the New World Order. You want to know what that next crisis is going to be that I'm predicting?
Sure.
A cyber attack.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay,
yeah.
Leave the world behind. They're alluding to this in Netflix movies. It was called Queen Pins. They were bringing that up. One of the characters does cybersecurity, and she says, and if they pay me enough, I help them with the attack, right? And so you're alluding to something nefarious like this potentially happening in the future. All right, and I'm going to tell you something. When you have a geriatric in the Oval Office, you've increased the likelihood of something like this happening, no matter who wins, whether it be Trump or Biden. And if you ever looked at Donald Trump's crypto, crypto wallet?
No.
It's full of high yield shit coins that offer no inherent value. Okay? You trust that guy to manage our cybersecurity? You trust that guy to put in the right people to actually help prevent a cyber attack from happening?
Well, okay, well, true.
And then,
Sure.
or prevent, or at the very least, make it so that it doesn't last as long as it does, right? And then you have someone like Biden, and if Biden wins, right? It would be pretty convenient for a cyber attack to occur like within a year or two after Trump gets in, and then you could say Donald Trump and his supporters planned it, and now we need digital ID and social credit scores and gulags and 15-minute cities because everybody's been wiped out, and enough people have killed each other as a result of this, and everything has to be more centralized. And so I just feel as though part of what you're saying, if we're going to help people become more self-sustaining, we got to raise awareness over the next disaster that's going to happen so that we do not, so we are less affected by it.
And I'm talking about it all the time on my page.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. I think that's great.
I know, I'm amazing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm talking about it all the time. And I'm trying to do it in a funny way while also pointing, here's an account that kills chickens and shows you how to do that. Here's an account, here's a great gun. I try to do everything I can. But I also feel like it also would make sense for them to do it beforehand, don't you think?
Before the election? Maybe, but why would you?
Partially because fundamentally, whether you hate him or not, I'm not saying you, I'm saying the royal you, whether you hate him or not, it's physically fucking impossible for Biden to win again.
That's not true.
Word on the street?
That's bullshit.
Unless it's stolen.
Bullshit. That's bullshit.
How?
Because that entire Trump campaign literally probably alienated about at least a quarter of by how they talked about DeSantis and his supporters. I know, okay? So you have an entire group of DeSantis voters that after how they've been treated by Trump and his surrogates, I'm not voting for Trump again.
Right.
I'm not going to vote for Biden, but I'm as it stands right now, unless you make DeSantis VP or do something along those lines,
sure.
Or put and put Vivek in charge of communications and managing social media,
right.
If you don't do those two things, then I'm not gonna put myself out there and help you when I'm gonna get nothing out of this and the country's not gonna get anything out of this. Okay? There are a lot of people who are conservative Republican voters who have been so put off by how Trump has kind of acted and conducted himself these past couple of years, his track record picking horrible candidates. A lot of conservative voters, probably about 20%, I think, of that electorate, will not vote for Trump. Not only that, but even if you look at Iowa, he only won 50% of the election, right? Maybe he won his margin was 30 points, right? But if you do the math, there's half of the Republican electorate that voted doesn't even really want Trump to be in office, okay? And only 7% of registered Republicans bother to even vote in Iowa, okay? So when you have a turnout problem amongst conservatives, and you still have, and a guy like Donald Trump serves as a get out the vote machine for communists and self-identified Marxists.
Right. Put
those two things together, and then you put in the liberal county commissioners in swing states. You've created a situation where, at the very least, the race is very close, and if it's really close, the margin of fraud comes into play. Right. So I really don't think that and then you talk about the fact that suburban moms decide elections, or people in the suburbs, right? Independent voters in the suburbs decide elections. If Trump gets convicted of a crime, if you look at the polls and the surveys, if something like this happens, the independent swing voters are not going to go out and vote for Donald Trump. They'll either vote for Biden or they'll stay home. Or the Democrats could install some slick puppet like Gavin Newsom or somebody like that.
Right. Or that
right?
dude, Michelle.
They're not gonna put Michael in. They're not gonna put Big Mike in.
Continue.
But it could be a Chuck Schumer or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But somebody that doesn't inspire that kind of outrage. Most people, if you talk about Chuck Schumer, they're okay, whatever. He's fine. He's okay.
Well, okay, finish your point.
No, I'm saying at face value. If you're not aware of what's going on, and you
Right.
say, "Oh yeah, Chuck Schumer, I don't know much about him. He seems normal."
Yeah, you gotta hate Trump. It's an anti-Trump.
Yeah.
I get that.
So, like, Donald Trump. I actually, if I'm placing bets, I'm not betting on Trump too. It's actually going to be, I think, a lot harder for Trump to get reelected now than in 2016 and possibly even 2020.
Here's what
you alienate a quarter of your own supporters. Like, nobody ever wins election losing supporters.
Okay, I'll put it right back into using your own thing.
Sure.
Look at Biden's comments on Instagram, on Twitter. Do you know what 90% of them are the last month? You're a warmongering piece of shit. Stop with the Gaza, right? His base fucking hates his ass. It's neocons who like him. It's Jewish liberals who like him because
they actually don't.
Okay.
No, they actually don't, because you're actually still enabling these Hamas protests, and you're not offering any strong leadership to help to do anything. Yeah.
As far as alienation, as far as vitriol, nothing is more than that. So what I go back to, I'm not saying that it's impossible for RFK to not go past and let's rah Trump. I'm saying as far as Biden winning again, word on the street, fucking nobody likes that motherfucker. Absolutely nobody.
And so that does help. That does bode well for Trump. But you know what? Trump would have had a guaranteed path back into the White House if he wasn't such a fucking asshole to Ron DeSantis in the primaries.
Possible.
No, definitely. It would have been guaranteed. Because you wouldn't have turned off a quarter of the electorate by how you communicated who you hired to manage your team. And when you're truth socialing incoherent nonsense in all capital letters, it's turning a lot of people off. Like, you're blowing a 28-3 lead in the fourth quarter again. This is what's happening. It's a reoccurring thing. And conservative media and conservative Inc. almost wants Trump to lose, because then they get to have another thing to continue being outraged about. So,
I would say what's a bigger turnoff to Trump's base. Here's what would get, and I'm going to tweet about this later on today. Here's how Trump gets 90% of the vote. One tweet. For real? Israel's mid. If he just said, "Hey, Netanyahu's going a little fucking overboard," if he didn't rah so much for the facts and for Netanyahu.
Yeah, too bad this guy doesn't learn from his mistakes, or want to provide any accountability, right? We're saying we're pointing out really obvious things that he could do to just like make me be happy to vote for him. Right. And the fact that you're not willing to do that, okay, well, good luck.
Right. Good
luck in the election. I'm not helping you.
Right.
You're going to get a record low voter turnout this.
You think?
Yeah, record low of voter turnout, because nobody cares. Everyone's disenfranchised. Another reason why I think that Trump will probably lose too. Is because if you've looked at these past off-year elections, a lot of conservative candidates and conservative initiatives have been defeated pretty strongly in conservative areas. You want to know why? Because nobody's voting. There's no enthusiasm amongst conservative voters to go out and vote, especially since they all think elections are stolen anyway. They don't even care, So they're like...
But what if that's part of the process? I don't know. I also see a lot of libertarian motherfuckers who like Trump just for the cultural win. They're late to the game, but they like Trump for the cultural win. Yeah, fucking stick it to them.
Well,
don't read fucking drag queen.
Sure. You know what though? DeSantis was better at actually getting that. Yeah, DeSantis was the better choice when it came to that, because that would have actually gotten accomplished. And Trump is not the same guy that he was in 2016. He wasn't the same guy as he was in his first term. Right. Like all that stuff was funny, because the country was still had the image and the appearance of doing well, right? It's not funny anymore when you see what's happening and you're not offering a solution to fix the problem. It stops being funny. When you start and it was when you bully people in 2016 and you bully all these neocons that are running against you in the primary, that was funny because they deserved it. When you're going out and bullying America First candidates that actually want to advance what you've talked about, and have a better ability to advance what you've talked about, it stops being funny, and it makes you think that this is a guy who doesn't really actually want to put America first, and it's a giant grift. It's America First versus America First Incorporated.
Touche. What I like also culturally about the most of the people I know who don't like Trump don't like it because of that very reason. It's no longer racist and grab him by the pussy. It's none of that shit anymore, unless you were in San Francisco or New York, the white liberal fan base, right?
We could go into the hood in New York City and campaign for Trump, joking around, and people would think it's funny and not get angry at it.
Oh, no. The Bronx just elected its first Republican city council candidate in 40 fucking years. The Bronx. Every other district, because I was helping a woman run for city council over there. Every other district, especially the white liberal ones, hi, cunts, I swear to God, but I'm making a point. Every other district went Democrat again. Right? And I'm not saying that that's enough because fuck Republicans.
Yeah.
I get it.
White liberals and boomer conservatives need to go into are both single-handedly together destroying this country from a different set of platforms. They're holding hands, destroying America. White liberals and boomer conservatives destroying America.
That's the other thing that a lot of people, a lot of boomer cons don't understand too about this influx of all these people coming up from the illegals. Illegals ain't down with that gay shit. Illegals ain't down with that trans shit. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? How many people are gonna Gavin Newsom's gonna pay for them to cut their dicks off? They're not doing that shit.
No,
there's like 2 or 3 motherfuckers.
Well,
Stop,
Peter,
bro.
what's gonna happen?
What's
gonna happen is that next time we have a new foreign war, because nobody wants to go, Juan from Venezuela will gladly fight with the Azov battalion in order to get a green card and become a citizen, and then he becomes the police officer that takes your gun away from you when they ban assault weapons, or stops you in the street for not having your government-issued cell phone that tracks everywhere you're going.
Touche.
So that is the actual concern that we should be worried about when it comes to the
It is, but again, I go back to the psychology. The psychology of a regular ass. Now, a lot of them are army. What is it? Military age man. Yeah, okay, I get that. I'm not saying that I'm not concerned. I'm not saying we shouldn't shut down the border. What I am saying is that on the whole, I actually know Mexican motherfuckers, and I actually know black people. Like, they're not as Democrat as they have been duped into thinking that they have been.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. You want to know another reason why New York is so fucking woke too? It's because the Republican leadership in New York. The people in charge are fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Right?
And they got bought.
Yeah, they're like, dude, when DeSantis gave his speech to like endorse Trump, the New York Young Republicans tweeted out for DeSantis to go fuck himself, and that he'll be never welcome back, and neither will his supporters be. And that he was a rhino and a backstabber to Trump. And you see this stuff, right? And you're living in New York, and I'm like, dude, New York has a lot of problems, but I don't want to vote for that guy. I don't trust that guy to help.
Right.
You know?
Well, there's only
when these guys become when that's what your Republican leadership is about, or that's what your conservative movement is about, it's going to turn the average everyday layperson off from wanting to support these people. And I understand, because why would you want to support somebody like that?
Right. And this is the thing that Trump, as a person, I think knows and does very intentionally, is that the movement, and I said it the other day, the movement is bigger than Trump. It always has been, it always has. It should be. It's not right now, right? But I'm saying the movement, MAGA, whatever the fuck you want to call it, anti-lizard, anti-globalist, whatever it is.
That's not his movement. That's Alex Jones's movement. That's an Alex Jones, William Cooper movement. That Trump decided to Trump is co-opting it just the same way Klaus Schwab is co-opting Marxism.
Touche. Say it one more time. Explain it to more.
Okay, like these globalist lizards who go to Davos, right? They pretend they regurgitate these Marxist, Leninist, communist policies, right?
Right.
In order to get actual communists to give money to and pledge support to these people who are just total control freaks, and then the actual goals that these hardcore like people with communist ideologies espouse will never actually get accomplished, and will just get ruined, whereas a small group of people just get a bunch of power and capitalize on it. Right. What Donald Trump is doing is he's doing the exact same thing, but with like genuine patriotic anti-globalist talking points.
Okay. So do you feel like that was from the jump?
I don't know. I wasn't like a big follower in 2016.
No,
right? Yeah, I mean, I think that if you look at how he governed in 2016, right? No new foreign wars, even though we were still doing a lot of our old tricks, but there wasn't anything.
It was like one-off bombings rather than
it was still bad, but it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. You had a
border.
The border was, I guess, better, right?
It should have been a wall.
Well,
he didn't do that.
Okay, you didn't do that, but also You still had floods of migrant caravans trying to come into America as a result of this, and you didn't pass any meaningful border security legislation because Biden wiped out everything he did with an EO on day one and made the crisis exponentially worse as a result of Trump. You know what I mean? Just as a backlash to Trump, right? You created a pent-up demand of immigrants that just have flooded the country as a result of this, right? Alex Jones got thrown off of Twitter during Trump's presidency.
Touche.
A bunch of people, their lives are ruined from January 6th as a result because they listened to Trump and they were willing to risk their lives to help preserve the integrity of our elections. And Donald Trump has done nothing to help them.
Right.
The Jared Kushner and his Treasury Department were talking about how they can issue a central bank digital currency back during his first term, and now he's speaking out against it.
Right.
Which is good. You're learning about it, but do you really trust that guy? You gave the country, you capitulated this country to Dr. Fauci immediately. Never bothered trying to reverse course. You tweeted law and order instead of actually putting a real stop to these riots. You did nothing to address election integrity through 4 years in office. They started the ban on gain of function research got reversed like within Trump's first year, and he didn't notice it or say anything about it or do anything about it. They're like.
So do you think? But I delineate, and I'm not saying it's fundamentally different, but let's delineate between intention and being too dumb or misinformed.
Okay, fine.
Or distracted.
Then if you're too dumb and you're too distracted,
touche.
Then you're a disservice to this movement.
Touche.
Okay, and maybe you can't
a wrench.
Okay, and you can't be making this many mistakes because I probably spent like a minute and a half or 2 minutes rattling off mistakes like this, right? You can't make that many mistakes without it being done deliberately. I'm sorry, man. Because it's like. It's like making excuses for like a girlfriend that compulsively cheats on you as to why you keep taking her back.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I'll push back a teensy bit. Although it was a good point someone else made, or maybe it was you, but about choosing good people. That motherfucker had a revolving door every 5 seconds.
Which is
fighting.
You can't fight the New World Order if you can't keep a team around you.
Right. But is it possible? I'm not saying go full Q. But is it possible that motherfuckers who he thought were good and then had to get rid of that guy? Oh, okay, had to get rid of that guy. Oh, okay, had to get rid of that guy.
Maybe after the first couple, fine, but there was probably 90 plus people that you were just cycling through and none of them have anything good to say about you while you're running. Right. No. I think that is 9,475 deep chest right there, right? It's like that.
But then I also go back to, and I this is why I'm not saying it makes too much of a difference, but I do delineate between, I use that word too much. I am differentiating between the idea of intent and stupidity. Mostly, okay, I read this motherfucker's The Art of the Deal. You can't read that book and not like that nigga. Like, come on. he's that guy. It's just now that guy doing this.
Yeah,
did we need him in 2016? I'm not saying we need him now, but I'm saying, did we need him in 2016?
Peter, he's declared bankruptcy how many times has he declared bankruptcy since writing that book? Right? Like, con artists are pretty likable guys. Bernie Madoff, if you had met Bernie Madoff in 1985, you would have liked that guy too.
Again, I'm talking about.
You would have loved to have a beer and do a line of blow with him. You know what I mean?
Right, like that. But what am I talking about? Am I talking about his believability? Maybe a little bit, but I'm trying to talk about intent.
Yeah, no. I think that the fun factor,
to be a 50 year con, I don't think so, man. Right? I'm just talking about intent alone. To like go all the way back and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna con people all the way up to the fucking globalists, to the globalist level, to be that deep of a plant. I read that book and I'm like, yeah, he's kind of a cunt. But
what does it mean to be a plant though? It's not like George.
Idiot.
It's not like George Soros and like Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates.
They know.
We're like sitting in a castle conspiring to just install Donald Trump to be the president. Like I don't think that was really it.
Right. But meaning plant, meaning he knew what the deal was.
I think that Donald Trump tried to run for president. Here's my view, okay? I think he tried to run for president just to build his brand. I really think that's what happened, okay? I think he ran to build his brand. I think he didn't expect to actually win. And I think that by embracing people like Alex Jones, which is good. I like Alex Jones a lot, right? Like, by embracing those kinds of people, he figured that he would widen and get a new base of people supporting him and increase his likability for after he lost. And then when he won, he just didn't have the clue as to what to do. And these globalists in charge just ran him through the ringer.
Right.
You know, and then people talk about how he fights the deep state. He hired deep state swamp creatures. He didn't drain the swamp drained him. So I think that that's probably the more realistic approach to it, is that you had a guy who tried to run to build his brand, you know, and then just like set up and embraced a movement that he doesn't really believe in, but embraced it because he knew it would help his brand. And then he was just in way over his head. And then afterwards, he decided to attack the only leader who would not be in over his head when it came to handling the problems that we're dealing with.
Yeah. So what's the solution?
Well, for me, I'm gonna vote for Kennedy.
Okay. But I think I'm going back.
No, the solution is grow your own food and go hunting and have a community around you and custody your finances.
Because motherfuckers in our game are like, oh, he's a plant. RFK's a plant. And Vivek is a plant. And that guy's a plant. And Alex Jones a plant.
Everybody thinks everyone's a plant. That's another problem, too.
Yes. And that's why I keep pointing to, all right, but what's the lesson on a fundamental level? MAGA motherfuckers need to learn this. Anarchists are pretty good at it.
Also, Peter, you want to know why I don't think another cyber attack is going to occur right now?
Sure.
I think we're a little bit psyoped out. I think we're a little psyoped out.
I think they like it when we feel chaotic. But let me finish my point.
But I think
let me finish my point. What I'm saying is the fundamental lesson that micro equals macro for me. I'm saying we need to learn the lesson, know our saviors. Fight, motherfuckers, vote, do the thing, blah, blah, blah. But no more, I'm going to hang my hopes on this guy.
I think Kennedy, I agree. I also think that Kennedy does have a legit shot at winning because of the lack of enthusiasm from people on both sides of the aisle. And if you could capitalize on that lack of enthusiasm and make them and motivate them to just go spend 5 minutes making what they think is a better choice, you could really shock the world. But I also think that not wanting to choose Kennedy, just like choosing Trump in the primary, it's a sign of peak demoralization. It is a sign of demoralization.
Say it one more time.
Like, not choosing the person who best represents you because you feel like it's hopeless is a symptom of demoralization.
Touche. Well, what's an element of what keeps us demoralized? And this is why I keep going back.
Currency debasement.
But
currency debasement.
Yes, but what
lack of fulfilling relationships.
But when I unplug
food,
when I unplug my energy from the psyops, from the lizards, from
the box,
whatever,
the box.
When I unplug, I feel fucking better. And Satanist fucking oligarchs can't feed off my fucking energy. I'm not saying I don't vote. I'm not saying I don't fight. I'm not saying I don't do whatever. But I'm hang my capital H hopes on whoever the fuck. Because I learned in January 6th, I learned in the last 5 years, I learned in COVID, no more thinking this is the utopia I'm going to do. Because I personally believe that that's the healthiest way to maneuver about my life.
I agree.
It's black pill, but it's white pill. It's like things are going to get better even if they fucking put me in a fucking gulag. Like, I'm going to do everything. I'm not going in a lot.
They're not going to put you in a gulag because you're not going to let that happen. Just like you're not going to eat bugs and live in a pot if you say that this is not going to be what I do. And if more and more people have a sense of self-empowerment,
that's what I'm saying.
Then the prescribed solution does not exist. And I do think that if you listen to how they talk at Davos, they're talking a little differently at Davos because they're realizing that their prescribed solution is not going to be bought by the masses.
Right.
And you want to continue the momentum of creating more a broader self-aware public. You need a public that is more self-aware. And I think the goal is to try to create a public that is more self-aware and happy with their existence and comfortable with their foundations, so that the rights that come with living or being a human being, are sacred and should be valued and protected above all else. And we need to go back to protecting what it means to be a human being. But anyway,
and that's what I do with my piece. That's what I keep pointing to that shit. Regardless of what happens. I'm not saying that means I say fuck it, I'm leaving, and I'm there. No, Fucking shout out to all the fucking anarchist meme makers out there, because I'm actually showing my fucking face, cunts. I'm saying my name, okay? If there's anybody who could like be accused of not investing in the game, bitch, it's not me. So I'm investing in the game, but I'm also at the same time protecting my energy. Sorry, protecting my energy, because I know that what keeps me from being psyoped is the fact that I hold on to my fucking balls.
It's important. You have to, and you always have to wonder whether you might be getting psyoped without even realizing it. And I think it's always important to have a healthy sense of perspective and have a good foundation, and to not get consumed by by all the stimulus around you. And it's important that I continue to repeat that, because I'm finding myself guilty of that as of late. But anyway, Peter, how do we get a hold of you?
Oh, on Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram, I'm at Peter_Feliciano, Feliciano. My show is called Conservatish. You can find it on Rumble, on YouTube. It's weekly-ish. And I'm coming out with an album. You can find my music on Spotify and iTunes, just Peter Feliciano. More music on the way, and also shirts and merch and other things. Oh, lastly, I don't know exactly when. I think I'm going to do it soon, so keep an eye out. No ad dollar day. Have you ever seen me do no ad dollar day?
No.
So Instagram, Meta, session, all these algorithms. The reason why we get it for free is because we are the product, not the consumer.
Yeah.
So the way to, but that's why Instagram and Meta, whatever, are don't really give a fuck about what we want with the app, because they're beholden to the advertisers. The way to fight censorship effectively is to divest. And so usually I do it for a 24-hour period, once a month or once every couple months. It's called No Ad Dollar Day. All of us collectively intentionally stay off of Meta social media for a single day, collectively, as a means of going, fuck your advertising dollars. For that day, you're not having my eyeballs, and the more of it grows, the more of us are saying, you know what? Just one thing we're protesting is censorship, just for that day. It's using our eyeballs, not in their algorithm, so that they can't charge as much.
I like this. You got to let me know when this is, because I will share that and practice it. Also, dude, just go on Nostr.
What's that?
It's like a Bitcoin-based social media company where it's a public-private key, open source social media model. So they can't censor you or do anything. They can't. Well, basically, they can't censor you.
Oh, okay.
It's a censorship-free social media company, because it's they can only change things based on the private. Like they can't do anything unless they have your private key. They can't shut you out. They can't do anything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
that sounds like a great idea. How do you spell that?
NOSTR.
Okay.
So cool social media app. I only have like 100 followers, and I got to start posting on it more. But I think that a lot of us conservatives who complain about being censored, and shadow banned, and blacklisted. Like, well, there's an off ramp to this. Mm-hmm. It kind of makes me wonder why you're not choosing to take the off ramp.
Right. Instead, we complain about it on their platform, which gives them more money.
Yeah, because that's what conservative culture is. It's a culture of complaining and a culture of outrage and misery. And then when they call you a fighter is code for perpetual misery. That's what it is. All right, Peter, thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you. This was great.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Bye, everybody.
Oh, shit. My fucking hips, bro. I got to pee so bad. That was a good episode. That was fun, right?
Spicy.
Dude. It's funny when